I just wanted to use that. All right, y'all. So I'm just playing around, playing around, playing around. But anyway, let's talk about this Diddy documentary. Y'all, first let me start off by saying none of this was a surprise. Um, if you are a hip hop head, R&B head, if you just listen to that type of music at all, you've heard of Diddy because he's been behind a lot of the superstars over the years. He's even had his own musical success as well. But nothing was really a surprise because there've always been these rumors and things you would get a whiff of in the air, to be honest with you. Now, I'm going to start off this by saying, you know how sometimes you could just look at a person and you're like, something is not right. You can't really put your finger on it, but it's just something about their aura, the way they carry themselves, that's just a bit off-putting, like you just can't quite put your finger on it. Something's off with them. So I'm going to leave that at that. Now, let's start off with his upbringing. Now, this is not an excuse, but it's an explanation. People's upbringing definitely explains a lot of their behavior and how they turn out, all right? And from what I saw in the documentary, him and his mother had a kind of tumultuous relationship. The father was unalived at a very young age. And Puffy kind of, he grew up in a single parent home with just his mom. And then the lifestyle that the mom led, kind of groomed him into the man that he became. So, yeah, one of his first truly big things that happened in his life when he started to come into this career of music and whatnot was they had a celebrity event. 9 people actually passed away at that event because they got trampled or whatever the case may be. And contrary to what you might think, it actually helped catapult him into even more success and recognition. So they had this young lady named Joy Dickerson Lee Neal, and she told her story. It was very heartbreaking. Hi, Nicholas, I'm sorry. How are you today? And it's just, like it happened so long ago that I don't think certain things really have a statute of limitation. I know there's a statute of limitations on MURDER, but I don't. Yeah, her story was very heartbreaking. I'm just going to leave it at that. Diddy also seemed to have an MO of taking other people's women. All right. Hey, Diaz, how are you today? Hi, El Vila. All right. Jugabo. Hey, how are you all doing today? Thank you for joining the live. But yeah, he had a habit or MO of coveting or going after women that were with other people or in relationships, okay? That in itself says a lot about a person. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, Diddy is the start of his career. He starts working for Uptown with Andre Harrell. He eventually gets fired. His head got too big. He wanted more control and things like that. He ended up starting Bad Boy with another co-founder as well. That co-founder got cheated or manhandled out of 25% of his holding of the company. So that's a whole nother story. So you can already see a trail of betrayal, even from the beginning. And I was really surprised about the similarities between the Tupac and Biggie video. So there was the I Get Around video by Tupac and the One More Chance video by Biggie, and they did that on purpose because I Get Around was having so much success. They wanted to model that video after the I Get Around video. So when I saw the comparison side by side, I was like, wow, yeah, like they didn't even try to hide it. But then there was the attack and the death of Tupac, all right, and then the death of Biggie. And the way that this documentary was put together, you can't help but see the trail that leads back to a particular person. I don't want to do too much accusations in this video, because I wasn't there. And but just based on the facts that they brought forth during this documentary, I mean, it's uncanny. It's very scary, to be honest. The first and most popular way that you divide and conquer people is you cause some type of friction between them. And if you all remember the Tupac and the Faith Evans issue or whatnot, and looking at that documentary, I could see how Biggie was not for the tension that was rising between the two coasts, the East Coast, West Coast thing, and the Bad Boy Death Row music record label stuff that they had going on. Biggie truly did not, he was not feeling that. He did not even want to reply with a diss record to Tupac when he made his diss record. And so it seems like there was a puppet behind all of that commotion that went down, unfortunately, even before both of these people passed away. It's very scary to think that someone could orchestrate such a thing, because I mean, we lost two greats, and it's just unbelievable to know that people operate and can operate that way, and they absolutely can, especially in certain businesses and even in government, to be honest with you. But Craig Mack and his situation was a really hard one to see as well. Hi, Leos, how are you today? Good day, good day. What happened with Craig Mack and went down with him as far as him being broke, and a lot of those artists unfortunately were broke, even though they had #1 records. He ended up later in his life living in South Carolina in some type of compound, church group camp or something like that, some type of cult. And it was really sad to see the way that he went at the end of his life. I think he ended up being a teacher or something, somewhere down in South Carolina, and he joined some type of cult, what people are calling a cult anyway. Hey, thank you, Sketchy. How are you, Rufus? Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. And then you have Shine. Shine did 10 years for the shooting that happened when Diddy was dating J-Lo, and they had some type of shooting in a club or something, and someone had to take the blame. But anyway, I'm not getting into that because I don't know the facts. Wasn't there. But that situation is what it is. That man did 10 years. He came out. He became successful despite all of that. And I believe he's now in Belize. And he is the mayor or governor, or one of the two, of Belize. And so I'm happy for him and how his life turned out. But 10 years is no blink. 10 years is a lot of time. A lot can happen in 10 years. He could have even lost his life while he was in there. But, you know, he got a second chance, definitely. And so basically it all boiled down from him being on trial, from Diddy being on trial, to him getting charged with 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, even though there are all sorts of other accusations and cases, open cases right now. But it's just something we're going to have to keep our eyes open to, and just to see what was going on, because Diddy is not the first, he's not the last, he's not even the top of the poll of all of this. You know, it all started before him, and it's, like I said, it's still going on now. But yeah, the music business is a predatory one, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of those people had money issues. They've gone broke. A few of the artists that were featured on the show, on the documentary, even reported being homeless at one point in time, fighting to get custody of their children, and asking him for help, and he would not even assist. And there was a story of him smacking his mom, allegedly. And, you know, the industry is very intermingled, you know, because eventually Snoop and Puff became very close. But at one time, Snoop Dogg was actually on Death Row Records, and the two record labels were battling back and forth. But, you know, time brings all things full circle. Not going to say too much about that, but, you know, It is what it is. But like I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And it's just, it's very uncanny, that particular documentary, to be honest. But again, none of it was totally surprising, because there have always been those rumors and things in the wind, you know, and over the years, to be honest. Even I heard them years ago. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's just my little breakdown of that Netflix documentary, which I believe was produced by 50 Cent, if I'm not, or is executively produced by 50 Cent. And it is what it is. If you all haven't seen it, it's a 4-part documentary on Netflix. And they're about an hour long, so it's not, you know, nothing strenuous to watch. But a lot of things came back up. I'm going to say that. I think that documentary probably opened up some doors that a lot of people thought were actually shut. And I'm going to leave that at that. And I'm going to say this as well, y'all. And I always say this. Thank you. I appreciate it, Leos. The things that we do don't always come back exactly how we did them or as we did them. Sometimes we pay for things in different ways. All right. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching again. Let me know what you think, and you all be blessed.